But I'm reading about Meta layoffs, Google layoffs, Indeed. They're now laying off people due to AI.
I was laid off in March this year. It took me 6 months to find a new job. Got a new job 7 weeks ago, and now this new job has announced hundreds of layoffs.
So I think I'm being laid off from my job today.
That does impact your position. Today is going to be your last day.
I'm 30 years old. I'm unemployed. I've been unemployed for 4 months. I literally can't get a job. I've applied to over 150 jobs. I now have negative $4.41 in my savings account because of the monthly service fee that just hit.
So, you want to know why many women say, I don't need a man, I don't need no man? It's because of the tech industry and office jobs. Yeah, the tech industry and office jobs. The office jobs that were created in the last 100 years since the early 1990s. Think about that. Okay? Ever notice that the feminists, they don't work heavy jobs such as construction, mechanic, petroleum, electricity, carpentry, and so on. All those heavy jobs are done by dudes, by men. And so anyone can be strong and independent when they can make money pushing papers and pushing buttons. What is up, you guys? It's your boy Andy Matrix. If you have not heard of me, go ahead and check out my YouTube channel, Andy Matrix Gaming. Right? I talk about anime, gaming, Japanese culture, all those things. So if you're into any of those things, click the link in the description. I'm trying to reach 3,000 subscribers. If you want to help out with that, I greatly appreciate it. Thank you very much, everybody. Go ahead and check out Angry Guy on Rumble because there's videos that he's posting over there that YouTube does not allow. So if you want something more spicier, go ahead and follow him on Rumble. Click the link in the description. Guys, also check out Angry Guy's Crypto Academy if you want to learn how to buy and sell cryptocurrency. He's also going to teach you how to pick cryptos, for profitability and all of that. The link is in the description. Go ahead and check out the Angry Guy Crypto Academy. And dudes, YouTube has gone absolutely crazy with the algorithm. Help us get pushed up by the algorithm. Make sure to like this video and comment below. Thank you very much. Now let's start the show. Companies have been lying about layoffs. One of the reasons why this is happening is because they are replacing workers. They're replacing workers with AI, right? And this problem is also causing many women to lose their jobs to the machines, right? Hundreds of thousands of women. One of the latest news I've heard in the last few months is that 300,000 black women have been laid off from these fancy jobs, right? And like I said, many of these jobs are non-physical jobs like paper pushing, writing, data entry, answering the phone, coding, design jobs, right? You get the point. Many feels that women like to go into for the simple fact that these jobs are easy on the body, right? These jobs are easy on the body. It's not like construction working or mechanic. Well, like it takes a toll on your body. Blue collar work takes a toll on your body. Okay, girls can handle mental stress more than physical stress. Okay, so call me crazy, but one of the reasons why so many women go for psychology careers is that they can sit down and get paid. And hey, I'm not making fun of that. Okay, I'm not making fun of that. I like psychology, right? And I'm not saying that it's bad. However, that's the reason why so many girls end up with a bachelor's degree, master's degree in psychology, and then wonder why they can't find a job, right? Well, well, let me make it worse. AI is becoming a darn good therapist. If you didn't know that before, now you do. But we got somebody that's going to cover this topic about AI layoffs. Her name is Vanessa Wingard. So let's go ahead and check her out. Here we go.
But I'm reading about Meta layoffs, Google layoffs, Indeed. They're now laying off people due to AI.
I was laid off in March this year. It took me 6 months to find a new job. Got a new job 7 weeks ago, and now this new job has announced hundreds of layoffs.
So I think I'm being laid off from my job today.
That does impact your position. Today is going to be your last day.
I'm 30 years old. I'm unemployed. I've been unemployed for 4 months. I literally can't get a job. I've applied to over 150 jobs. I now have negative $4.41 in my savings account because of the monthly service fee that just hit.
Salesforce just laid off 4,000 employees, claiming that they're now an AI-first company and that AI is making their workforce redundant. However, what they didn't tell the public is that in 2025 alone, they insourced 1,137 jobs, insourcing being the process of bringing workers to the U.S. It's the opposite of outsourcing. According to the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services data, in 2025 alone, Amazon has received approval for 10,044 H-1B visas. Amazon Web Services, their cloud division, was approved for 2,347 H-1B visas, and those are definitely developers. Think about that. If AI is so good that it's replacing human coders, then why does Amazon Web Services need over 2,000 visas to bring workers into the US? If AI agents are handling everything, why do they need over 10,000 visas just in 2025? They're trying to say that AI is replacing all jobs, but that's an oversimplified narrative, and it's often used as a cover for these corporations who are doing more complex and controversial business practices. Corporations started using the H-1B visa to bring in labor, pay them less, and effectively lay off American workers. We just saw this recently with Tesla. Tesla is currently in a lawsuit that alleges that they replaced over 6,000 American workers with visa holders as a means to cut costs. Now, I want to be clear that this is not me being anti-immigration. I myself am an immigrant. We shouldn't be upset at H-1B visa holders for accepting an opportunity provided to them by these corporations. But what we should be upset about is the exploitation. Corporations are exploiting both American workers who they lay off and the immigrant workers who they often underpay and overwork because their visa is tied to their employment. Now with that, let's revisit Salesforce. As I said, in 2025 alone, Salesforce received 1,137 H-1B visas. In 2024, they received 1,525, and in 2023, they received 1,021. That's a total of 3,683 visas, almost the same amount of people that they just laid off. Now let's look at their Indian office. Salesforce employs over 13,000 people in India alone. So how much of this is actually due to AI and not insourcing or outsourcing? Because what the pandemic taught these corporations is that operations could continue as normal, and it could be even more cost effective if they used remote workers. In fact, it's estimated that over 1,700 global capacity centers have been established in India, employing more than 1.6 million professionals. The data shows a correlation between U.S. corporations outsourcing tech jobs and India's booming IT sector. Salesforce, Microsoft, Amazon, they've all largely contributed to India's economic growth. This is eerily similar to how U.S. manufacturers outsourced jobs to China in the 80s and 90s, helping to transform China into the world's second largest economy and pulling roughly 800 million people out of poverty. They outsourced the jobs, and now China largely competes with the US. Tech companies are now doing the exact same thing. They're outsourcing tech roles and laying off American workers. One could actually make the argument that the US government supports outsourcing, because in 2017 they passed the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. This bill lowered the corporate tax rate from 35% to 21%. But buried in the bill was the global intangible low-taxed income. This gave corporations massive tax cuts for moving their operations overseas. Here's how insane this is. If a corporation makes profits in the US, they pay an effective tax rate of 21%. But if they make profit on a foreign subsidiary, they only pay 10.5%. As you would guess, this incentivizes corporations to move their operations overseas. They effectively went from paying 35% to 10.5%. You may have heard of the executive order that would apply a $100,000 fee to the H-1B visa process as a means to stop these companies from bringing in talent from outside the US. However, it's quite unclear how this will actually work. Even if this worked perfectly, corporations could just skip visas entirely because they're still rewarded for offshoring jobs. Executives not only benefit from offshoring, but they benefit from every headline that says AI layoffs. Executive compensation is directly tied to stock performance. Corporations lay off, the stock price goes up, and executives cash in. We recently saw this with Bumble, who announced they would be laying off 30% of their workforce. That same day, their stock price jumped up 25%. I'm sure the executives had a nice dinner at Nobu that night.
That is right, guys. That is right. And as we're heading into the all digital future, you're going to want to invest into cryptocurrency. So check out Angry Guys Crypto Academy. You learn how to buy and sell crypto and which coins to buy for profitability. Right, so click the link in the description. Check out the Crypto Academy. Take it away, Angry.
Hey guys, in a world pushing you to own nothing and be happy, crypto is your key to survival. Join Angry's Crypto Academy to master buying, selling, and trading crypto. Make huge profits and safeguard your wealth. Plus, discover the one crypto virtually no one is talking about, poised to create new millionaires in the upcoming bull run. The link is in the description of the video below. Go check it out now.
So I agree with Vanessa here. Companies are lying about AI layoffs, but is anyone surprised? I mean, is anyone surprised that American companies are hiring immigrants for these jobs? Right? The H-1B visa has been used for decades. This is nothing new. I mean, take a look at Silicon Valley. The reason so many girls are mad at this is because they're being replaced with immigrants in AI technology. The high-paying jobs are disappearing, right? And they're going to other people at a lower price. Oh boy. So this has been happening since the 1980s, or probably even before then. America has been sucking up all the brains of the world for a long time. As Michio Kaku said, the futurist scientist. If you guys ever heard of Michio Kaku. So remember that Nikola Tesla, one of my favorite scientists in history next to Leonardo da Vinci, Nikola Tesla came to America and he helped Thomas Edison invent the light bulb. So don't let the history books fool you. Thomas Edison did not invent the light bulb. He hired people. He hired people to do the research, and then he took all the credit because he had the money. Okay, so men in the tech industry know that layoffs are a big part of the industry, and they know how to, they know how to deal with it. Like a lot of these nerds, a lot of these programmers, nerds from like the 80s and the 70s, they have experienced layoffs before. It's nothing new, but they know how to deal with it. They know what it's like. It's all these programmers. You don't see many of them complaining on the internet because they just know. They're aware about these, about the layoffs in the programming, in the tech industry. It just happens, So they're used to that. But, now that there are so many women working in tech, it has become a big deal. Let's go back to Vanessa.
And then you have the venture capitalists like Jason Calacanis claiming that Amazon will be 100% AI by 2030. Every factory worker gone, every driver replaced, the same Amazon that just got approved for a total of 12,391 visas. But keep in mind, this is the same guy that needs his AI investments to blast off to the moon. And I recognize that Amazon does have a lot of automation. I just find it strange when people make these types of claims, yet they're continuing to hire people, just in a way that most people don't see.
Before 2030, you're going to see Amazon, which has massively invested in this, replace all factory workers and all drivers. The idea that when you order something from Amazon, a human would touch it at any point in that supply chain is insane. It will be 100% robotic, which means all of those workers are going away. Every Amazon worker, all those jobs, UPS gone, FedEx gone. All of those are going to be gone, and those companies will be more profitable.
You know what's actually insane? A venture capitalist who probably hasn't worked a physical job in decades, if at all, declaring that millions of Americans will be obsolete in 5 years due to the AI that he's invested in. But with all of that being said, AI is replacing some roles. Many of the jobs being lost rely heavily on the English language, and this just so happens to be the perfect use case for large language models. Things like content moderation, basic copywriting, and customer service. ServiceNow is a tech company offering a platform of AI agents to replace human workers.
We're slowing down the hiring in jobs that are, quite frankly, soul-crushing jobs. I mean, just think about like IT support, customer support. 80% of the customer inquiries and cases now are fully managed by agentic AI. And the same is true of go-to-market. Think about people that talk to customers. There's no prep work anymore. Their AI teammate is doing that for them at ServiceNow. The supporting cast of the soul-crushing work is now being done by agents. They work hard 24/7. You don't have to pay them. And they don't eat any lunch. And they don't have any healthcare benefits. So they're very affordable.
That's not innovation. It's dehumanization. Unsurprisingly, they're working with companies like Delta, Uber, and Visa, so we can make the assumption that these companies let go of workers in favor of using ServiceNow AI agents. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics came out with revised data on job growth. The gist of the report is that after revising the numbers, there were actually 911,000 fewer jobs created than previously predicted.
So the unemployment rate for computer engineering graduates has more than tripled over the last year. A screenshot from the New York Fed report a year ago, computer engineering, 2.3% unemployment. Same source, a year later, computer engineering, 7.5% unemployment. And this is actually true. Art history, 3% unemployment. Do not get an art history degrees, my God.
And according to the Ludwig Institute, the real unemployment rate is somewhere around 24.7%, not the 4.3% that headlines claim. They count anyone without a full-time job or those making less than $25,000 a year as functionally unemployed. Of course, this isn't how the US government measures economic health. That's what the stock market is for. As companies are growing, they're just not hiring more people. In certain roles, one person can do the work of 3 people by using some type of AI tool. Multiply this across every growing company, and you get those 911,000 jobs. Now, that doesn't mean that's actually the cause, because as we saw, the economy is not doing great, but it can explain some of this job loss.
I've officially been unemployed for a year and 4 months now, and I did not think it was going to be this difficult to get a job post-grad. And I feel like every single day my chances of getting a job seem to get lower and lower because I feel like I graduated so long ago. And even internships where I'm supposed to be gaining my experience require you to either still be in school or recently graduated.
The real tragedy here is all of the people currently graduating who can't land an entry-level job. How do they become senior if they can't even be junior? And it's worth noting that these corporations have for quite a while been trying to eliminate entry-level positions by making it really hard to even get hired. How can you get 3 years of experience if you don't have experience? If you're willing to switch careers, I do think being in a trade is much harder to automate. And at the rate that these data centers are going up, anything to do with electricity will be needed. Electricians, electrical engineers, basically anything required to build a data center. And if we go back to the Bureau of Labor of Statistics, the only 2 fields that actually saw growth was education and healthcare. And this makes sense because even when the economy is bad, people are going to have children, and thus we need teachers, and people are also going to need healthcare.
So everyone, to be fair, everyone has been affected in this economy. Men, women, teenagers can't find jobs, Gen Z, millennials, even boomers. But I don't feel for the boomers that much. However, women are screaming the loudest because they don't have anyone to help them. That's why. They don't have anyone to help them, not even family, which is really sad, by the way. It's a problem here in America. It's really sad that we don't emphasize the family enough. They decided to be strong and independent at the cost of being completely alone. And American companies won't tell you this, but one of the reasons they lie about AI layoffs is because they're trying to get rid of all the useless people in their corporations. Okay, they're trying to give less benefits, less vacation time as possible, and lower expenses. One of the biggest expenses that companies have, especially in the tech industry, is not just employees, but expensive employees such as the activists. Okay, it is the activists. And who are the biggest activists in these corporations? Well, I mean, you guessed it, women. Women. Remember the Gillette company, the Gillette commercial about toxic masculinity? Weeks later after that commercial, Gillette lost billions of dollars, and then we found out that the head of marketing was a female activist. Okay? Corporations are getting rid of all useless people because they have been paying high salaries and they don't see much return on investment. And this is true, especially in entertainment, in Hollywood, one of the reasons why Hollywood is burning, and in the tech industry. Right? But hey, what do I know? I'm just a peasant. Make sure to like this video, comment below, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell for future notifications. Everybody's your boy, Andy Matrix. Godspeed, baby.